Hi everyone, so as you can see I'm back in the office again and I wanted to do something today which is going to be focusing on the detail around how to write a good CV, what good looks like and what bad looks like. So I wanted to actually give you some examples of before and after and really delve into the detail around tone, language and content. So I've put together a bit of a dummy CV here for Joe Bloggs, Mr. Joe Bloggs, who's an insight analyst at the ABC company. And the two kind of key examples here, I suppose, profile starts off just giving a brief summary as to who this person is and what their strengths are. Now, if I saw something like this on a CV today, it doesn't really jump out at me. It's a little bit bland. There aren't really any specifics in there around techniques used. It's using quite common language, I suppose, quite basic language to describe analytics. Now, this person has also referenced that they're an analyst and looking for a role in data science or analytics, but they haven't really gone on to talk about what they think that might look like. So just to show you a bit of a slightly more improved version here, I'll just make it green so you can see it easy there. So I think what you really want to try and inject into the profile piece of your CV is enthusiasm, energy. You want to give it some kind of character and style, and you want to be quite specific about the kind of role that you're looking for and talk about the skills that would translate into that. So as I've talked about previously, we get a lot of analysts who want to move into data science, which is absolutely doable, but I think you need to demonstrate that you understand what a data scientist role looks like and what your transferable skills are for that. So here I've just talked about try to use the right language as well, language that engages the reader. So a budding data scientist with a flair for leveraging advanced analytical and machine learning techniques. So that's one box tick. If I read that on somebody's CV, that's already got me interested. To solve complex business problems. So you're talking about how you're going to use those skills and experience in a commercial workplace. And again, a lot of the data scientist roles or analytical positions that we work on are about problem solving, effecting commercial impact. It's, again, the kind of tone of the CV needs to align with the type of role that you're looking to go for. And if you don't want to just be, a back office number cruncher, then you need to make sure that the right language and tone is coming through on the CV to reflect that. We then go on to talk about being skilled in shaping solutions with commercial business improvements in mind. So that sentence alone says so much. It talks about the fact that you are taking ownership of building solutions for the company. You're not just working in a prescriptive manner, you're actually being proactive in building a solution to solve a problem, which any company is going to be interested in. And then again, we're referencing the fact that we understand the commercial impact that the work has, that we do. Again, that's something that we're seeing more and more from clients, is that request for demonstrable, tangible results and achievements on the CV. It then goes on to reference working in collaboration with others in a team-led environment. And that's just, again, a nice nod to the fact that you enjoy working with other people, you've got good communication skills. It's kind of saying that without saying it, because we get a lot of the same kind of blurbs, if you like, kind of language used on CV. So you want to try and be original and try and differentiate yourself. And then I think it's also worth noting in the opening profile the kind of technical skills that you might have, because again, it's where the eye is going to start at the top of the CV and scan down. And we're doing a mental box ticking exercise as recruiters and as line managers when we're reviewing lots of CVs at any one time. So you want to make sure that people know that you are an advanced user, which, with Python or SQL or R, whatever it might be. But it's also worth referencing, if you're learning some tools at home, if you're interested in using particular tools, then it's worth referencing that in the opening profile. So we then move on to the employment history. So I'll just white that out so we can see what we've got here to begin with. So you'll be surprised how many CVs I get through that are this bland, and it really gives no context. There's no language being used to take ownership of the work that you're delivering. It's, again, very prescriptive. It's statements. It's almost reading like a job description. So to bring that to life and to, again, really engage with your reader, I would suggest something along these lines. So I've gone through and I've literally rewritten each bullet point. So to start off with here, I build predictive models. First of all, I would avoid using I. It's something that people will probably revert to in order to demonstrate that they are taking ownership of something, but it's not a particularly sophisticated way of communicating that. So here we talk about leveraging a variety of predictive modelling techniques. So if you've used multiple techniques, state that on the CV and then expand on how you've used them or when you've used them. So I've mentioned a few different modelling techniques, keywords that people might search on, and they've also talked about why I was using those and what the business impact was. So variety of different modelling techniques such as etc. for forecasting and strategic decision making, resulting in reduced customer churn by 20%. So you're hitting a number of, again, kind of box ticks there. You're talking about the techniques or the tools that you're using, you're giving context, and you're talking about the impact or the result. And this is kind of a framework that you want to keep in mind when you're putting your CV together for each bullet point or each statement that you make. Talking about managing junior members of staff, mentoring junior members of staff, again, you can expand on that. How did you do that? So skilled in mentoring, training and developing more junior members of the team through coaching sessions, leading by example and providing on-the-spot feedback and solutions. You need to make the effort. You need to give a little bit more than just a one-line statement, especially if it's something that you want to develop, it's a skill or a piece of experience that you want to develop in your next role. Make sure that it sings to the reader. Make sure that it's really prominent. If you want to be a manager, a formal manager in your next role, you need to make sure that the experience that you have to date in that area is, as I say, really singing from the CV and really nice and clear and emphasised. Moving on from that, building reports and dashboards. So I've just tried to pick out, some of the day-to-day activities that an analyst might do or a data scientist might do. And again, you want to touch on all of your experience. You don't need to mention it more than once, but just make sure that when you do talk about it, it's in a good amount of detail and it's specific and it has impact. And it makes sense as well. It's kind of part of the story of your skills and experience and your overall profile. So here you would expand on that by saying something along the lines of building engaging and creative dashboards using Tableau and Power BI for data visualization and I need to add in a few extras here, bringing data to life for non-technical audiences. So we all know that, building dashboards and doing BAU reporting work isn't perhaps the most exciting of the day-to-day work that an analyst might get involved in, but it can be really important, particularly in data scientist roles these days. And if you can demonstrate that you understand the value that adds and that you're not just building basic dashboards, you're actually building really engaging data visualizations, it tells a different story. The reader makes a different assumption when they see it written in a different way. So the next bullet point we have here is using statistical analysis techniques for customer insight work. It's not too bad, but again, it's really brief. And the question marks that I would have instantly would be, well, what statistical analysis techniques did you use? And can you give me an example of a customer insight project that you worked on? Could you expand on that? You need to be shouting about your experience and bringing it to life. It should be impressive information that you choose to include on the CV. So I, for example, would expand on that. I would say applied advanced analytical and machine learning techniques using Python and SQL to analyse large sets of customer and digital data, uncovering actionable strategic insights. So I've not given a specific project example here, but I've included so much more information by mentioning from a high level the two different kind of types of techniques that I would have used. I've mentioned the tools that I've used during that analysis or data science work. I've talked about the fact that they are very large data sets. You can use, again, keywords like big data. And I've talked about the type of data that I've been working with, which is customer and digital, which again are quite broad terms. Obviously, I appreciate that. But again, you're being specific. And then moving on from that, the output, uncovering actionable strategic insights. You understand how the information is going to be used in a wider business context. And again, you need to try and put yourself in the place of the reader and try to understand what they might take from the information that you include in the CV. So moving on from that, there was actually another added extra that I wanted to put in there in terms of expanding on the analytical work, which was again to be very specific about a piece of work that I'd done. So I implemented a data-driven pruning algorithm to improve customer targeting and personalisation, increasing conversion rates by 15%. So again, I've been really specific. I've talked about the outcome of that, which is an improvement, and it's just adding a bit more weight, I suppose. And if I'm looking to move into a data scientist position, for example, from an analyst standpoint, then you want to try and pull any data science or machine learning experience that you've had to the forefront of that CV. Almost at the end here. So the last one here, managing stakeholder relationships. How did you manage those stakeholder relationships? Why was that important? Again, just a little bit of an expansion on that. Managing, developing and nurturing stakeholder relationships, acting as main point of contact for all briefs and troubleshooting. It's just, again, making the effort to add in a little bit more detail. And then finally, presenting insights to senior level managers. I've only added a few extra bits on there, but I've just talked about how I did that. So through data visualizations, decks and data storytelling, and just that one little comment at the end there about data storytelling. Again, if I read that on somebody's CV or they explained the way they'd done something using that kind of language, it would be really exciting for me, because I would know that I'm looking at somebody who's just, they're beyond just a kind of, as I say, a prescriptive, dry analyst, and I know that I've got somebody that can bring the data to life, can demonstrate the value that the data adds, can really get people excited and interested in the insights that they've managed to derive from the data. I would make so many assumptions just from that one comment at the end, that one line. So I think hopefully that just demonstrates how important it is to really take your time and think about the language and the content that you include on your CV and how much of a difference it can make. I'll try and put together a few more examples for some slightly different CVs and skill sets, but hopefully that's useful, and I'll be back again soon.